Okay, so my name is Shazia Khan. Welcome everyone. Today's session is on equal opportunity and diversity. That's the unit that we're doing. And it's learning outcome 3 today, so which is to understand issues relevant to equal opportunity and diversity. Welcome everyone to the session today. Just before we go on to learning outcome 3, I want to give you a recap of what we did in learning outcome 2, which was the last session. And in learning outcome 2, we looked at knowing explanations of the origin of prejudice, stereotyping and oppression. We looked at, in learning outcome 2, we looked at key terminology on what prejudice is. Does anyone remember what prejudice is, or if it comes to mind, what is prejudiced? Does anyone remember prejudiced? So prejudiced is a person who holds a prejudiced views towards maybe a race or a gender. It could be a sexist person. We went on to look at discrimination and how that's different from prejudice as well in learning outcome 2. We looked at examples of discrimination. So we had racial discrimination, age discrimination, and gender discrimination. We then went on to look at the types of prejudice as well. So it could be prejudice based on, as we mentioned, sexism, prejudice based on racism, prejudice based on your skin color. It could be prejudice based on age, prejudice maybe based on someone who's homophobia, someone that's against homosexuality. And it could be based around your class, disability, your choices. So there's different sorts of prejudice. We then went on to look at 2.1, which was to evaluate explanations of the origins of prejudice, stereotyping and oppression, causes and origins of prejudice. In learning outcome 2, we looked at the theories of prejudice. So we looked at the social identity theory, which was by Henry Tajfel, and it looked at a person's self-sense. Sense of self comes from overarching group backgrounds. So people are put into groups for everything. We then went on to look at scapegoat theory, which is defined by placing the blame on someone else. So it's like blaming the entire group. We then went on to look at the authoritarian personality theory. We also looked at the culture theory and the importance of that when it comes to influences, and examples we gave at that time was that angry Black woman that is portrayed by the media. We gave prejudice examples. We went on to looking at stereotype definition, positive and negative stereotypes, positive being problematic, and then we also looked at intersectionality and why that's important for cisgender or things like categorizing individuals. We went on to defining discrimination, the origins of stereotyping. We looked at early theories of stereotyping, and we went to look at the origins of oppression. And then we looked at elements of what oppression was and how it could refer to discrimination. So that was learning outcome 2. Is everyone okay with that, or have you got any questions around that? Esperance or Matilda, have you got any questions around that? No?
No, please.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going on to learning outcome 3 now. And this is the final learning outcome before we have the assignment discussion tomorrow, okay? And this is looking at understanding issues relevant to equal opportunity and diversity, okay? So the grading of this assignment, the grade descriptors apply to the assessment. So firstly, understanding of the subject. You need to make sure that you have an understanding, you're able to show an understanding of the subject area. You have application of knowledge, and knowledge is really important, that you have a knowledge and understanding of the subject area. The use of information, communication and how you present your work, and the quality of work you present. So whether it's an academic piece of work and how it's presented. Key terminology. So what is equality in the health and social care? So firstly, we'll go on what equality is, and it might be a repetition of what we've done previously, but it gives you an idea. So we are all equal, okay, as human beings, and entitled to equal opportunity to enjoy our lives and fulfill our potential. Equality of opportunity is achieved when you're able to secure fairness and removing factors that lead to less favourable treatment of one individual to another. When we talk about equality, what is the first thing that comes to mind, Esperance? What do you think? Who else have we got on? Someone else come on? Or Matilda, are you on now? Yeah? No. Josephine. Josephine, are you on the right unit? Yeah? Okay, excellent. So what's the first thing when we talk about equality? What is the first thing that comes to mind? Josephine, you can answer that. What do you think the first thing that comes to mind when someone says, what is equality to you?
Equality is when treating individual
Yeah,
equally.
equally. Excellent. When treating individuals equally. So that's your definition, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, sorry, Matilda, what do you think it is?
I think it's just fair treatment.
Yeah, fair treatment. Excellent. Yeah. Esperance, what do you think?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Just
what's
treating people equally regarding their differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always about treating everyone the same. It's about treating people in such a way that the outcome for each person can be the same. So it's like putting support into place for someone. For example, for a person who is blind, it may involve having screen readers on their computers and removing any obstacles from the building or anything. For someone from a minority group, another example, it may be having affirming messages in your youth space as so that young people have the diversity and differences. So, you know, it is the element of it is treated people equally, but it's how you treat that person equally. You know, what is the element of equality? You know, why, you know, is it to provide everyone equal opportunities within the health and social care or within any sector? And it's the whole point is trying to protect people from any forms of discrimination. You know, you could have discrimination, as we sent in the list there, on age. It could be on your gender. It could be on your lifestyle. It could be on your disability. It could be on your religion. You know, there are different forms of discrimination that occurs, you know, within the workplace. You know, someone, you know, it may be that you are a woman, yes, and you are trying to apply for a job, and the man is applying for the same job, and the man gets the job based on the fact that he's a man, you know, and you have the same, you know, experience. That happens quite a lot. That's a form of discrimination that does happen quite a lot, you know, within the workplace. And when we look at the health and social care, equality and diversity is one of the essential components of health and social care. Why do you think it's so important within health and social care? Josephine, why do you think it's so important? Why do you think within health and social care, equality and diversity are so important?
Is it not to make healthcare professional know how to deal with the individual?
Yeah. And should we be equal in treating the young, the old, all the same?
I think is a model of and teaching healthcare professional how to deal with individual in their
So
diversity, I think.
Yeah, so we looking mainly, the health and social care, good equality and diversity. We have to make sure that the services we provide to people are fair and accessible, okay? So that we're treating everyone equal and the people, get the respect and dignity they deserve.
Yeah.
We shouldn't treat one person because they're young different to an old person. We
No.
should take into account adults' needs and disability, illnesses. We should take into account their age, and we should take into account, whether we can provide adequate care for them, that person. We should be looking at that and to promote that, it's so important within the health and social care that we promote that properly. If we look at, being equal, we should apply the legislation, and we will look a little bit at the legislation later, that we should be looking at the protected characteristics within the Equality Act, which are age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, and that includes breastfeeding mothers as well, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation. These are the protected characteristics. Why do you think within the health and social care or any sector, why do you think these characteristics are important? They are law because the Equality Act 2010 identifies that these are part of the legislation, and there are 9 protected characteristics. And if they are breached, are they against the law then, if these are breached?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Why do you think it's so important that they identified and put these in place? Do you think there were more cases of discrimination within this?
No,
Do you
I
think
think
do you think more people had been discriminated because of their age, because of their disability, because of their religion?
yeah, people have
Yes.
been there. Even it still happen till now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure a lot
To
of you.
avoid that it's
Yeah.
put in place.
Yeah.
The guideline.
Yeah. Have you, you must have worked in places where there are different forms of discrimination happening.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. And you can see it. And it may be based on your ethnic colour. It may be on your nationality. It may be on your colour of your skin. It may be on your religious belief, but it's still happening even today.
Yeah.
And because these characteristics are protected within the Equality Act, if anyone does breach them, then there's a law in place to protect you as an individual.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's still happening. It shouldn't be happening, but I know it does happen. It happens a lot.
Yeah, it
And
happens a lot.
it's not just in the health and social care profession. It's in every profession. It happens a lot, and people are it is overlooked, and people need to take more consideration when looking at things like that, but some people breach the law. So equality and diversity in health and social care is incredibly important, but often, like I said, it's overlooked. It's an integral part of any sort of services they offer, rather than it's a bonus or a benefit. Equality means that everyone in the care setting is given equal opportunities regardless of their background, abilities, or lifestyle. So everyone should be treated equally. Both equality and diversity are essential components of health and social care. Good equality and diversity practices ensure that services are provided to people are accessible and fair to everyone involved, including service users and care providers. And this is really important because it helps them feel like they're being treated equally and they get the respect and dignity they deserve. So it's
Sorry to
really
chip in.
Yeah.
Please, I think your slides does not correspond to what you are reading to us. Because we
No,
still
it does.
have the
No, it
no.
does. It does. I'm not reading everything off the slides for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm just giving you some extra stuff. So it's not everything that's I don't I don't tend to read that much off the slides. Sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't, because I just want to give you extra information. So when you're doing your assignment, it's all recorded, okay?
Thank you.
So, so when we look at equality and diversity, you know, it needs to be within the workplace, any workplace. So, you know, can you give me any examples? I think we've got, is Olu on? Is it Olu that just spoke? Olu? Okay. Give me some examples of treating someone, for any examples of discrimination within health and social care. What? Anyone, Josephine? Anyone, Esperance? Matilda or Olu? Can you give me an example of where discrimination might occur within a health and social care setting?
Okay, I will say that. Oh, sorry, Esperance. Please, you can
Okay,
speak.
go on.
Okay, it's all right. One of you give. We'll get more examples so we've got an idea.
Okay, so I think that when we come in the case of the hospital,
Yeah.
and then we've all booked an appointment, we have
Yeah.
a time duration to attend. We get there and then we all speak with the health personnel that we are in, we report that we are in.
Yeah.
I know as a Black lady, I came
Yes.
first, and then there is a white lady behind me, and then
Yes.
because the health attendant or health personnel is a white, the health personnel intend to bring the white name before I do. So eventually she moves to the consultant before I did, or the GP before I did. I
Yeah.
think that is a clear discrimination because
Yeah.
in the order it's who comes first and who is served as
Yes.
well.
Do you get that feeling that when you're there, that is a form of discrimination for you because of your color of your skin?
Yes, it's so clear.
Yeah. Yeah. It do. Matilda, I will be honest with you. It does happen. You know, you've just got to be really strong. It does happen. I am British. I am Pakistani British, and I've been born in this country. And I get the form of discrimination from, you know, my workplace. But as a strong Asian woman, I don't let that get to me because I just think people are ignorant.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we have laws in place to protect us. And them laws we're going to go through, so you've got an idea, you know, and we've got the human rights. You know, people don't always know that we've got human rights there to protect us as an individual. But it's the fact that it happens. It's happened a lot to me as well, and I've been born in this country. So, you know, I think being an Asian woman is even, you know, like we said, they do discriminate on your race, your religion. You
Yeah.
know, an example could be someone that, you know, if you're working in the health and social care profession, they give you a dress code. How do you think that impacts on someone wearing a hijab, you know, a headscarf? Does that mean she can wear the headscarf? If they say you're not allowed, they give you a dress code. Do you think that advantages or disadvantages Muslims who wear a headscarf? It's a disadvantage, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel it's a disadvantage, and it's also a form of discrimination as well.
Yes.
Because we have to respect religion as well.
Yes. But that doesn't always happen, does it, Matilda? There's always, you know, the people put rules in place. For example, there may be another rule in place by an employer that says that they require all staff to work on a Sunday. How could that be? How could that be discriminatory for Christians who attend church? They can't attend church, then can they?
Yeah, and then most of the employment area, when you go, they'll tell you that if you don't work on Sunday, then I can't employ you, and that's not
Yes.
fair.
Yeah. But if people are Christians and they want to attend church, they can't attend church, then can they? That prevents them from doing it.
Yeah, so it means you not accept that
Yeah.
offer.
That's an indirect form of discrimination that happens. So there's direct,
Yeah.
there's indirect. They're very clever, try to wiggle it around. But, you know, also another one where, you know, people may be fasting during the religious time and they don't make flexibility for that, you know, in Ramadan.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is forms of discrimination that happen. Esperance, excuse me, you wanted to give us an example?
Yeah. I will just give an example of sort of things we face like every time on our workplace or on our
Yeah.
duties
Yeah.
as a staff who work in the healthcare sector.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see discrimination, like the obvious one, when you are an employee like others, but
Yeah.
you see your colleague being treated like favorably,
Yes.
or just you face yourself, you just complaints and blames when you all do the same job and you have the same role. You completed your role. At the end of the day, your colleague will be favorable
Yes.
than you. Yeah.
But that you see that in the workplace, Esperance. But
yeah.
as an individual, why do you not feel the need that you should challenge that?
Yeah, we do challenge every time, and there
Yeah.
is policies in place, like the company policies.
Yes.
But some people, they will just do it directly. You can
Yeah.
see from their actions.
Yes. Yes.
Is
Yes.
yeah.
You do see it,
It
but
happens. Yeah, it happens
it
most of the
happens
time.
in
Yeah.
any profession, I think, you know.
Yeah.
In health and social care, it could happen in any profession. I mean, I've been teaching for 19 years, and it happens in my profession, you know. But you know, I always believe, and it's weird, I always believe to like just ignore it, but you shouldn't. I teach law, you know, and that's the first thing. If they are breaching the law, you should take it further, you know, because they are breaking the law because you have them protected characteristics, you know, age, disability, race, gender. It could be any of the 9 protected characteristics. And if they are breached, then, you know, you have the right to challenge that. You know, you have the right to, the workplace must be putting, you know, legislation in place and policies in place.
But I
Yeah,
think
like this year,
play.
like my workplace, there was like 3 staff who have been suspended because of that issue, discrimination. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you saying, Matilda?
I was like, there are some that are not so clear that you can't even protest about it. For instance, you are in an environment and then you are all suited for a break time, and then you go for your break. They are expecting you to return at the due time, whilst especially the British are being expected to come anytime. And then they have a lot of excuses. Sometimes I went out to smoke, sometimes, and they wouldn't be questioned, but you will be questioned. So sometimes it's indirect that you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
It looks like you don't have like a proof to take it further.
Yes. There's indirect and there's direct discrimination but it can be challenged. All the law legislation, there's discrimination legislation in place to say it can be challenged. Okay, so next we're looking at elements of exploring the origins and principles of equal opportunities, how the origins of principles came about. It's a political theory is equal opportunities, and the idea is that people ought to be able to compete in equal terms. You know, equal opportunities is there to look at elements of fairness and equality. And everyone should, within the health and social care, have equal opportunities. Everyone should have access to the same medical treatment and social and health care. You know, everyone should have the same access, irrespective of, you know, their age or their race or their religion. You know, sometimes people within the health and social care, there's people there that can't speak, you know, the language, you know, but they're not treated fairly because they're not given equal opportunities because of the element that they can't, you know, they can't speak the language. You know, so it is an element that needs to be taken into consideration when we look at equal opportunities, because it's one of the elements that everyone is treated fairly, that no one is discriminated against. and also, you know, that everyone, even employers, have equal access to training and facilities, and you know, we shouldn't take into account the employer's age or anything like that. So the primary aim of equality is to promote and protect everyone's right to equal opportunities within the workplace. And within health and social care, it's treating individuals treated individuals identically and not being prejudiced or discriminating them based on their beliefs or their genders. You know, it does happen, and I agree with you 100%. It does happen, and people don't take legislation into place, but there is legislation that you can challenge. So now we're going to look at slide 5, which is why is equality important in the health and social care? And we looked a little bit about it, saying that it's, you know, elements of good equality and diversity practice, make sure health and social cares are fair and accessible, make sure that people are not treated differently, then they're treated with dignity, okay? Fair and equal treatment of individuals is really important. Be it patients, service users, be it the staff. So you need to make sure that everyone is treated equally and fair with dignity, regardless of any genders or regardless of their health conditions, regardless of their illness, regardless of their disability and religions or beliefs. And you know, I have experienced, you know, in the health and social care where there has been elements of discrimination against people who can't speak the language. Why do you think that's an issue? Language barrier. Why do you think that becomes an issue? Josephine, why do you think language is an issue so why do you think there can be forms of discrimination with someone who has issues around language?
Maybe when he speaks, maybe they don't understand him.
Yeah, but not everyone speaks the British English language, do they?
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes when it's someone that's asking for something, some people within the some nurses, care workers tend to ignore people because of maybe because they're
because
old.
they don't understand what they're saying.
Yes, because they're old maybe, and because they don't understand the language. And that's not being equal within the health and social care. You know, we're not providing a fair treatment. We're being biased towards that person because of their language.
Sometimes some nurses, they don't even like when most of them are speaking language, their languages.
Yeah. It's
a
difficult
kind
to
of
understand
barrier.
people, but there is, you know, there is the focus that we provide interpreters within that. You know, we should be providing that service, but you shouldn't
Yeah, they
discriminate.
should be, but some home doesn't have it.
Yeah, but people shouldn't discriminate on the basis of someone's, you know, their race or religion, or, you know, whether they can't speak the language. You know, it's a form of discrimination.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of equality in health and social care is to protect, you know, the people through legislation.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
most of them, some people don't follow that.
yes, you're right. You're right. You're totally right. You know, people don't follow that.
No.
And you know, equality on that slide in the provision of health and social care is enshrined in different pieces of legislation. Like we said, we've got Equality Act, we've got the Care Act, which we're going to go through later on. And, you know, it's the fact that Age UK has produced statistics that reveal 12 million people in the UK over the age of 65 living in the 90s. You know, they are, you know, they are discriminated against because of their age. Many of these people have complex health issues, and then approximately 1.5 million people in the UK with learning disabilities who regularly interact with the health and social care professions. Equality is one of the main provisions for them. Why should you know, you should make them understand where equality comes from, how to promote equality, why you should identify the barriers to equality. So that's the next slide, how to promote equality in health and social care. You know, you should, as a you know, as an individual with working within the health and social care, you should also understand where equality comes from. You should identify any barriers to equality, implement any equality and diversity policies in place, remove any sort of biases. You know, there's places in the element that they don't follow the policies that are in place. Make sure there are policies in place to promote any sort of equality and diversity within that. You know, you as an individual, you know, it's difficult because if you are working in the health and social care profession, you are the one who is trying to make sure that, you know, you ensure that there is equality and diversity. You know, it could be elements of that. So, you know, you should make sure that it is implemented within your workplace. But if you're not a manager, you're not there to promote any sort of health and social care. So promoting equality and diversity in health and social care is really crucial, that everyone is treated equally and respected in the same way. We are different. We are all different, and it would be a very dull world if we were all the same. So it's important to treat people equally. You know, you may like a certain food and I may not like it. We're all different, and it's important, you know, that we are different and our experiences and our personal preferences are respected. Again, working in the health and social care profession, it's crucial that everyone receives the same respect and is treated equally. It could be easily it could be sorry, to make assumptions and treat people different. We have this perceive this assumption around people. You know, it's really important that we take into account elements of things like that happen. You know, it could be things like we have distinct groups, ethnic groups. We have Black, Asian, African, we have Pakistani, we have Irish, we have African Caribbean. So these need to be taken into consideration. Also things like, you know, promoting it through equality and sexual orientation as well, you know, making sure that people are treated fairly. Inequality is the result of discrimination, and discrimination can be active or passive. So it can be overlooked or accidental. Staff should be educated, you know, you should be educated if you're working in the health and social care profession. Every health and social care setting should have a written equality and diversity policy, and this should be implemented by management. Do you think these policies are always followed though?
No.
No.
I
Why
don't
do you
think
think
so.
that? Why?
There is policy put in place, but
Yes.
most of them, not every, the manager gives. You know, when you are working in a place, they say this is even we, like me, every week they bring new policy for you to read.
Yes.
But at the end of it, they don't follow it.
Yes. I agree with you, Josephine. I think it's you know, there needs to be more in place. They should have more regular training on this kind of area on equality and diversity, and also, you know, put into place quizzes and, you know, testing the staff. It's easy to make prejudgments or assumptions than trying to make a connection with a new patient, looking for patient connection. Equality impacts on every aspect of health and social care, from the physical structure of the building to how an individual patient is perceived and treated. You know, the focus should be on unique person-centered. Potential areas of discrimination, you know, if there's elderly people, those patients with special needs, any people from all walks of life, they should be all taken into account and safeguarded and protected by any sort of elements of respect and treated fairly. It doesn't matter where they're from, what language they speak, what ethnic background they're from, you know, because there are laws in place to protect these individuals. But some people ignore everything, like you said, Josephine. You know, not everyone follows the elements of the laws in place or anything, or the policies. So we've got the concept of diversity. So diversity encompasses acceptance of respect for the full range of human characteristics. when we look at diversity, does not mean equality, inclusion, or pluralism, but it's a separate concept having its own set of values and practices. You know, diversity is an ethical principle, you know, making sure that everyone is treated equally. It's a combination of the view of the world, our perspective. It's recognizing, respecting, and valuing differences based on ethnic, gender, age, race, religion, disability, and sexual orientation. So it's living in the UK, there's so many diverse cultures. Should we be respecting all the diverse cultures? Things like, you know, people's, it may be Ramadan, it may be Christmas, it may be the fact that we need to respect people on the basis of their cultural festivals. Does that always happen?
No.
I think it depends on the institution because
Yeah.
personally, I used to work at a place, and every time it's Ramadan, when they finish Ramadan, the company sets a small table with,
Yeah.
depending on what they use to break their Ramadan, like the
Yeah.
dates and stuffs, to honor them. And
Mhm.
then when it is time for, I don't know which country does that, but it's
Opening the fast, yeah.
yes,
Yes.
even when it's rosary,
Yeah.
they intentionally, I think as an
Yeah.
intentional thing, try
Yeah.
to at least make those
Yeah.
within that
Yeah.
environment
Yeah.
feel a
Yeah.
little loved about it.
That's
Yeah.
really important because, as you've said, Matilda, you know, it's good to do that because you're celebrating everyone's diverse culture, celebrating Christmas, you know, making sure everyone's involved, you know, and making sure that, you know, you are having a diverse culture and you are respecting different people's culture.
Yeah.
Because
It
that's
was
really
very
important.
lovely.
Yeah. And, you know, you're respecting, you're appreciating, you're making a difference in regards to their culture. And that's the same that happens every year with elements of Christmas as well. You know, you're celebrating the festival, you're making sure if you give gifts to people, you know, give them a gift for Christmas, you know, how it's celebrated. So important. You can then further explore the characteristics of society that make it diverse by considering information in the following table. So interests, this is where individuals with different interests make a society more diverse by bringing different groups of communities together, you know, fundraising, any sort of events, making sure if there's any sort of reading or discussing books. Another one is belief. So physical signs of diversity can be evidenced by different places of worship, such as mosques. For Muslims, it may be the Friends meeting house. For Quakers, or the chapel or the church, you know, dependent on their beliefs as well. Age, you can see physical signs of age diversity in community in the forms of schools, nurseries, sheltered home, or care homes for elderly, you know, and that's an element of different characteristics. The next one on the slides is lifestyle. So lifestyle in communities are determined by the work that people do, the amount of disposable income. So what they have, for example, communities where they have high levels of employment, trying to, you know, support them, their lifestyle. Personal characteristics. So here you may have a wide of different characteristics. It may be your physical characteristics. It may be the way you dress, the way your language is, you know. Then cultural identities, you know, as we've talked a little bit about your cultural, your background, your characteristics, your personal cultural identity. So each person is different from the next. Everyone is different, and if everyone can contribute, but within any sort of element, we need to be respecting people's being fair, equality, and diversity. So 3.3, provide and analyze examples of positive and negative practices of the role of legislation. Now, legislation is really important. Legislation, dependent on any business or anything, any size, legislation needs to be taken into account, which can have an impact on the operation of that business, but also profitability as well. So it's really important you take into account any legislation within a business or within any sort of working environment, because laws are there to protect individuals and protect the businesses. Positive elements of legislation are staff turnover, reducing recruitment costs, And then some disadvantages: it can be expensive to ensure that all legal requirements are adhered to. Then we've got some legislative framework. So we've got elements of different legislation. So we've got Human Rights Act, which is there to protect individuals' human rights, including responsible for providing care services and respecting their human rights. Then we have the civil partnership one, which is the element of same-sex couples and protecting their rights as well within regards to health and social care. So if they're married, they are, have the same and equal rights. Then we've got the Gender Recognition Act, which is there to set out trans people in the UK, and it may legally change their sex and obtain a gender recognition certificate. And then we have the Equality Act 2006. Again, that is there to protect individuals' equality and treat people the same and equal basis to everyone, protected characteristics. And then we have the Equality Act 2010, which is on the next slide. And also this slide here, it looks at a comprehensive guide to legislation in health and social care. And it gives you, there's a link there, and that looks at all the legislation within health and social care that you could look at. Then we have the Equality Act, which sets out people in regards to the protected characteristics and provides the 9 characteristics in regards to this and how they are protected. Everyone should follow them characteristics in regards to that. We've got legislation in place that works within the health and social care profession, which is elements of things like we have the National Health Service Act 1946, looks at the funding. Then we have the Health and Social Care Act 2012. That link that I've put on there will help you get the elements of the different legislation within health and social care. We also have the Mental Health Act 1983, the Care Act 2014, the Children's Act 1989, and the Data Protection Act in regards to GDPR. Now, it's really important that the legislation in health and social care acts as a cornerstone in shaping the provision of health and social care. These legislations keep a balance between safeguarding the rights of individuals and promoting the well-being of the population. And it's really important we follow these legislations. Why do you think it's important that we follow the laws that are implemented with health and social care profession? Why do you think it's so important that we follow the laws?
I think when we do follow the laws, we are able to be fair in our service.
Yes. And it's important for an organisation to follow the laws as well, make sure that they are applying all the laws in regards to this and making sure that they are not discriminating against people. So we've now finished learning outcome 3, okay? These are some of the references that you can go onto for links in regards to any sort of extra resources or anything. Has anyone got any questions before we finish the session? Anyone? Esperance, Josephine, Matilda, Olu? Any questions?
No.
Okay, so this is the last the learning outcome. Tomorrow's session is the assignment discussion. So that's at 10 o'clock tomorrow as well. So please make sure you attend that. Please use Moodle for any additional resources. All these recordings and everything will be put onto Moodle, so you can go onto Moodle. So you've got learning outcome 1, 2, 3 recordings will be on Moodle for you. Any questions you have or any questions or queries or anything, please email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk. Submission of the assignment to be done on learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk, and that's 2 weeks after you have finished the assignment discussion session, which is tomorrow. And it's 2 weeks of the unit delivery and the delivery of the assignment discussion session. So you've done now learning outcome 1, 2, and 3. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock is the assignment discussion session. We've finished the session now. If you've not got any questions, Thank you for attending today's session. And if you have any questions or anything, just ask. Is everyone okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm okay.
Thank you. I will see you in tomorrow's session, everyone. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you. Have a
Okay,
nice
thank
day.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.